Hello, everybody. It is Rachel Jensen here, and it looks like we are right on the hour. So we are going to get started. Now, if you've been on a webinar with me before, you know that what you want to do is find the questions and answers section of the control panel, because what we're going to do is have you type in where it is that you are calling in from. We get participants from all around the world, and who knows, maybe there's somebody who is in the town right next to you who may be calling in as well. So let us know where it is that you are calling in from, and from there we will read those out loud. And you should just see the Q&A section, and I see a couple of you have found it so far, so perfect. Just type where it is that you're calling in from. Okay, we have James K from Cocoa Beach, Florida, Michael P from Oakville, Canada, John N from the Colony, Texas, Michael C from Dallas, Texas. I don't know where the Colony is in relation to Dallas, but maybe they're close. We had David L, who's calling in from Mesa, Arizona. We have Joe P, who's calling in from Houston, Texas. Michelle from Washington, D.C. Kyle F from Boise. We have an Amanda L from Mount Vernon. We have Lauren from Sarasota, Jim from Sacramento, Stephanie from Denver, Charlotte from Mississippi, Matthew N from Portland, Maine. And if you're just joining us there, what you're going to do, and you probably caught on, is type into the Q&A section where it is you're calling in from. We have Todd R from Milwaukee, James S from Valrico, and it says, James says I have a bad echo. If anybody else is getting a bad echo, let me know and just type that in. I may end up taking out these headphones here if that'll get better. Ron R from Columbus, Mississippi, Michael C from Carrollton, which is right next to Colony. Imagine that. Brent from Austin, Texas, Jim I from Santa Cruz, California, Jacques R from Deerfield Beach, Florida, Bob from Mineo. I don't know where Mineo is. Sorry about that, Bob. We have Clifford from Ruidoso, New Mexico, Brian from Burlington, Vermont, Brian S from North Dakota, Robert from Minnesota, David, thank you. It says no echo. James, no echo. Michael, sounds perfect. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Diana S from Port St. Lucie. Awesome. We have really good representation today. And that is actually one of my favorite parts of the presentation, because we tend to have folks who are calling in from all over. And it looks like we just had one attendee, James. If there's anything, James, that you want to type out, feel free to put into the Q&A section. It looks like you raised your hand there, and we'll be able to get that answered for you. So thank you, everybody, for joining us on the webinar. We are recording this session, so this will be sent to you afterwards if there's anything that you wanted to look back on, or if there is anything that, oh, perfect, James said it's good. Perfect, thank you, James. Or if there's anything that you wanted to pass along to friends and family. I know sometimes when you're looking at making a real estate purchase overseas, you know, there may be more people than just you involved. So because it is recorded, we'll send that to you, and you can get them on the line with us as well. So we are really excited to share this opportunity with you. I think it's one of the most exciting that's being offered in Belize right now, specifically on Ambergris Caye, because there is a big branding announcement that is coming. Many of you, I'm going through the list here, and many of you have heard about us through Live and Invest Overseas. You got the email that Leaf sent out today, yesterday, and you want to understand more before the big branding announcement comes next week. For those of you who came through other means through Live and Invest, other means than Live and Invest Overseas, I thank you for your interest in learning more about the fleet building at Grand Bayman's Gardens. Again, a huge opportunity for you, and you're really coming in at the right time, and we'll explain why in a second. So with me today, I have a special guest, Mike Cobb. Are you there, Mike?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
A little bit low from my end, but I think that's just because my volume is low. All right, let's try it again, Mike.
How's that? Hey, hello, everybody.
Perfect. Thank you. So for those of you who do not know Mike Cobb, he is the CEO and co-founder of ECI Development, who is the development company that is developing the Grand Bayman property in Belize. Mike is a visionary. He sees opportunity, jumps on it, and really understands the market as he's creating the opportunities there. So Mike is going to talk to us a little bit about what we're going to see in the presentation today, and why Belize at this time right now is a great time for you to get involved. So during this session, we are going to talk about how you can own a branded hotel suite on Ambergris Caye for under $100,000 turnkey. And for those of you who've been following us as ECI Development as a whole, You know that we already have the Brandon Marriott property on the beachfront, and those condos start at about $400,000 plus closing costs and furniture. So to be able to get in at a branded hotel under $100,000 really is unheard of, especially here on Ambergris. But Mike, why don't you cover for us? Well, number one, give us a little bit more of your story, and then from there, talk to us about the three big points about why people should be looking at this opportunity right now.
Well, sure, and thank you, Rachel, and thank you everyone for joining us this evening. I heard many of you came in through Kathy Petticord, and that's great. I mean, Kathy and I have been friends and colleagues for about 24 years now, since I started the company back in 1996, and was speaking at her conferences starting in 1997, on. And one of the things that she has really paid attention to very, very closely is track record and experience. And I think that's one of the reasons that she is excited about this project. And I think quite honestly has gotten behind it the way she has. Again, with that kind of a relationship, we both know each other very well. We know each other's experiences, and we've been around a while. 24 years of doing business in Latin America is a long time, and we've seen some great times, and we've seen some absolutely miserable times. If any of you were in the real estate business in 2008, 2009, it was. It was brutal. It was ugly, and many of our competitors that were around in 2004, 5, 6, 7 just simply don't exist anymore. We've taken a very conservative approach. We take the slow approach. I think a lot of times people can race out and get ahead of themselves. We have always just been very methodical and prudent and cautious. And in this case, here, this is a great example of where prudence and caution pays off. Over the last 6 years, we've built, developed, sold, and handed keys to 54 condo owners in our Bayman Gardens. It's a property that's about 3 blocks off the water on Ambergris Key. And we know what we're doing. I mean, we've done it 54 times now. We know our cost of construction. We know the good contractors. We know the good suppliers. And so this is a well thought out, well tested, proof of concept already in place. I mean, for the last 6 years, 7 years now, I guess we've been delivering these condos and operating them as the Grand Bayman Gardens. But this opportunity, and I don't think I'm getting ahead of myself on this, and if I am, Rachel can slap me. But we believe in. We're a professional company. Let me just say that I don't dive, I don't surf. I go snorkeling maybe once a year because I'm with a group of people that want to go snorkeling. Warm weather, ocean kinds of activities are not my hobbies. I grew up in Northwest Pennsylvania. I like to snow ski. I like to hunt. I like to fish. I like the cold weather, and quite honestly, the tropics don't do it for me from a personal lifestyle standpoint. I enjoy being there, of course. Who doesn't like being on a Caribbean island, a few weeks a year? But for me, it's not about lifestyle. For me, Grand Pacifica, Grand Bayman, Grand Caribbean, our projects in Panama, these have all been opportunities to serve consumers with a product that's a very, very good fit for them. And one of the things that we've just taken to heart over the 2.5 decades that we've been working is that there are lots of expensive, luxury, sexy products, and we're building one of them. The Marriott on the water, 3 blocks away, is a very sexy, expensive product. If you've got $400,000, $500,000 that you want to invest in a property overseas, that's probably a pretty good one to look at. But we also understand there are a whole lot more people that have somewhere between $50,000 and $150,000 to invest in a property overseas, either as a vacation property. Maybe it's a property that you're looking at to rent when you're not there, use it as a vacation property for 10, 15 years, and then have an eye on possibly moving there part or full time at some point in the future, because you do like the tropical, Caribbean lifestyle experience, and that's someplace you want to go someday. So we understand that this is a very desirable lifestyle for many people, but it's just not for me. And then that really is a big plus for you, the consumer. Because for me, it's all about business. It's all about delivering a high quality product that meets North American standards to a North American consumer, and then hiring professionals internally. Rachel and her team are phenomenal. We have a wonderful operations team, but in this case, the operating of a resort, just like our Marriott on the water, will be operated by a professional operating company. We've grown our small little Bayman Gardens to 54 units. We're going to add 12 more. I think 4 of the 12 are already spoken for. And we're really getting to the point now where we need professional management of the operating part of that business to really reach its full potential. And so we've signed our contracts with Best Western. This is official. We have not officially announced it. That will happen next Wednesday. The folks from Best Western are coming in from Mexico. Our team, I'm flying down on Monday. A bunch of folks are flying in tomorrow and over the weekend for this big announcement. And what that means for you as an investor in the project is that you're going to get Best Western's reservation system, which is huge. I think they're the seventh or maybe
Correct.
seventh. Is that right? Seventh largest hotel chain in the world. They've got a powerful, powerful reservation system that puts heads on beds, and that's really, when we're talking about investment product that's that's nightly rentals, it's heads on beds, right? But then it's also, how do you operate, how do you run efficiently, and keep the costs down? Well, a company like Best Western, has been doing it for many decades. They know how to do it. They're very, very good at it. And so with this announcement, we will be branding our Bayman Gardens properties Best Western, and we're opening up the next building, which is our Fleet building. And you can see on the chart right here, the studios start at 83.9. And I think all in, Rachel, what's that number?
About
With
90, about 96. It's under
90,
100,000. Mm-hmm.
right. So thank you. So for just under $100,000 all in, furniture and closing costs, you can have a studio unit in a Best Western that's going to do very, very well for you. And if you're looking for something that you might want to use later, a 2-bedroom or a 3-bedroom property would also be available as well. Once we have the announcement, the prices go up significantly. Once we begin construction, the prices go up again. So Rachel, if you'll flip forward, I just want to take a couple minutes and talk about the
Sure.
the return on investment.
Let me mention one more point here as
Yeah,
well,
sure.
because I know it's easy to look at the chart and say here, all right, the branding announcement is coming, and then March 18th, next Wednesday comes, and then March 19th, you're looking back at the numbers and you're saying, I really should have reserved. I want to get in at the 83.9. If you've been following us since the Marriott announcement, that we are not able to go back to the prices that we're offering now, which is why we're having this webinar, and which is why we're informing you of the March 18th date. But we'll talk more about what that really means to you. But do note that come March 18th, where it says branding announcement, this column here, these numbers will be in effect.
Right, and that's next Wednesday.
Yeah,
so
correct.
You guys,
Mm-hmm.
right, and so the folks that are on this webinar are absolutely smart and wise to be here tonight. And you've got plenty of time to get the information from Rachel and her team if this is something you want to do. You can make a reservation. And then what do we do, Rachel? It's 30 days to come visit if you want to come put boots on the ground, and it's a fully refundable deposit. So you're at risk for nothing by reserving. And then you've got 30 days to come down and decide if you want to move ahead or not. So, you guys are fortunate to be on this webinar, to have the opportunity to get them for about $15,000 less than what people the end of next week are going to pay to have the same condo. I like to look at, again, this is now this is an after, isn't it?
Exactly. Yep. This is after. So this ROI chart that we have here on the screen is for the 98.6 price. That's after the branding announcement on March 18th. And the reason we have this one is here is because the numbers that we've received in order to make this chart are the most accurate, where some of you may have received the numbers before based on what we're doing at Grand Bayman, based on those percentages, but the percentages that we have on this chart that I'd be happy to send anybody who wants to see it is indeed based on the increased price, but you'll see that the numbers are really just as favorable. So if you're able to get in on the 83.9 that you saw on the previous slide, then can do a lot better than the percentages you see here. But that
Yeah.
the number includes the closing cost, 8% closing cost in Belize, which is standard, and then the standard furniture package as well.
Right. So this is an all-in price of 111,000. So if somebody reserves now, they're going to get it for under 100. So the ROIs will be better than this.
Yes.
But a couple of ththings I want to point out, and Rachel, you've got very complex spreadsheets that show how this all comes together and the occupancies
Correct.
and the ADRs. But I want to look at one scenario. I want to look at the again. You heard me. I hope heard me. I'm going to say it again. We are a very conservative company. I want to look at the year one ROI conservative case. And Rachel, you'll have to help me with some of the numbers. I'm pretty sure that tell us what the
Sure.
average daily rate and occupancy calculations to drive a 7% return are.
Sure. So that's at about 53% occupancy, which is the current average island, which is what we're seeing on Ehrenberger's Key
So,
today.
so hold tight 1 second.
Mm-hmm.
So on the conservative case, it's 53% occupancy, which is the island average. And so now we're talking about going from all the mom and pop hotels on the island and one Hilton, right? There's one Hilton and everything else is mom and pop. And the island average is 53%. And that's the occupancy rate that we've used here.
Exactly. And then the average daily rate is about $113. So 53% occupancy, $113 on an average daily rate.
And I hope everyone on the call would agree that $113 a night for, a one-bedroom condo 3 blocks from the water on a Caribbean island is probably a pretty conservative number. Again, these numbers are coming out of the Belize Tourist Board for averages on the island for 3-star properties. So, and in fact, we have I don't know how many pages Manuel Knight's feasibility study is. So when we started working on the Marriott project, we actually hired there have been 3 feasibility studies done, 3 business feasibility studies. One was actually done by Marriott, and they studied the market to see if a Marriott hotel would work. Then one was done by the operating company, and then one was required by the lenders on the Marriott project. And the one that was required by the Marriott, we hired a company out of Northern Virginia, Manuel Knight, and he came in and did it. And we are allowed to provide that business feasibility study to you, and we will provide it to you. So looking at all of the aggregate data from the island of Ambergris Caye, again, the 53% is the current island average for occupancy, $113 per night for the 3-star product. And so and then let's talk about costs. I mean, again, the spreadsheets that Rachel and her team have put together list all of these out. But I just want to be very clear that a lot of times, a lot of things aren't included, right?
Mm-hmm.
But we've included everything: the furniture, the closing costs. But then on the cost side of thing, we've put in the utilities, we've put in the homeowners fees, we've put in the annual, catastrophic insurance policies. What else, Rachel? I know we put in a furniture replacement in year
Yeah, 7.
seven, I think. We
Yep.
put in $1,000 a year for just general maintenance. I mean, something breaks, you got to paint the unit, blah 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 blah. We put in $1,000 a year for maintenance starting in year 3, and so but again, we've been operating these units now we're in our 7th year of operation, and so we know, we have real hard data what it costs to operate these condominium units. And so we've taken that data, we've plugged it in. We ask you to please look at the spreadsheets, look at the data. I'm sure you're going to agree that we've been very, very generous with the costs, and we've been pretty conservative with the projections. And if you look at the 10-year ROI, and Rachel, I don't know if you know those numbers off the top of your head, but the ADR goes up and the occupancy does what? Just to
Oh gosh, I don't remember those off the top of my head, and I don't have the chart in front of me, so I don't want to give anyone those wrong numbers. But what you can do is send us an email if you'd like to get a copy of it. I think all of you have our email address because you got the link to this webinar. But info@grandbayman.com, GRAND BAYMEN. You see that in the corner there, info@grandbayman.com, or just email us back to the email that you've received from us.
Well,
But we
hey,
can.
Rachel, I'm a little bit braver than you are in something like this. I think people are
Go
going to
ahead,
hold you.
Mike.
People are going to hold your feet to the fire. I'm just going to cry. I didn't know. It's like, okay, let me tell you what I think I remember. I think I remember that we took the occupancy up uh, 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 to 63% over the period over 10 years, because again, 53% is the island average. We think that a Best Western branded product that's got the 7th biggest hotel chain in the world promoting it, and when people look online, hey, where do I want to stay when I go to Ambergris Key? Oh, Mike Cobb's hotel. Well, who's Mike Cobb or the Best Western? I think I'm gonna pick the Best Western, right? So occupancy should go up, and historically in properties that have become branded by Best Western, including a property in Belize on the mainland that was branded Best Western, they saw both their occupancies go up and their average daily rates, their ADRs. And I think we ramped the ADR up to like 135, from 113 to 135 over a 10-year period. So again, we're not talking about big, huge increases in occupancy or ADR over the next 10 years. But the really cool thing is because once your costs are covered, most of the money is incremental, and it drops to the bottom line. So your ROI actually almost doubles. Well, it more than doubles, actually. It goes from 7 to 15. So as a longer term hold, this really is a great investment. And then if you flip flop it and work it backwards, and you say, well, I'm willing to pay $100,000 to get a 7% yield, what would somebody be willing to pay to get a 15% yield, right? Well, I mean, if they paid 200, they'd still have their 7%, right? So there's an inverse relationship to the value of the condo to the cash flow it kicks off. Again, that's the conservative case. The industry standard case, that's coming right out of Manuel Knight's feasibility studies. We'll provide it to you. Look at it. I think the numbers are going to be somewhere in between these two, is my guess. And that's pretty strong. So I really, I'm excited about this. I know the folks that picked up the first 4 units are very, very excited about it. And I hope some of you will decide to make a reservation. Again, fully refundable. If you come down in the next 30 days and you don't like it, we give you your money back, and we, we'll buy you dinner and a drink and thank you for coming to see us. But I'm pretty sure that when you get down there, you're going to be awfully glad you went ahead and did this.
Mm-hmm.
And Rachel, I think you got one more slide, and then I'm gonna scoot off and let you kind of wade into it a little bit. But I just want to, I alluded to this earlier, and I think it's really important for people to hear this. My very first trip to Belize was in 1994, and it was in the fall of 94, and over the high season of 94, 95, sometime in early 95, I bought a condo in Belize, and I was, do the math on that, I was around 30, maybe 31, something like that. I don't remember. Anyway, but I was 30 or 31 years old. I owned no rental properties anywhere in the world. And my very first rental property was in Belize. I bought a condo in Belize, started ECI, Exotic Key International is what it stands for. I started Exotic Key International in 1996 to basically, rent my condo. And there was no such thing as Airbnb. So we put ads in the Washington Post and, classified ads and whatever. And we started renting our condos. There were sand streets. The streets were sand. There were, I don't know, 20 restaurants on the island, maybe 20 hotels on the island. And it was mostly men. It was serious fishermen and serious, boys dive trips. There were very few women and almost no families on the island. And, over the last 25 years, some of the streets have been paved. There's still some dirt streets, but a lot of the main roads are now paved. We have a Hilton. We have 2 Marriotts. We have one Marriott Autograph, which is under construction. We have our Marriott, which is in development. We have a Hyatt property. There's a Wyndham property. So the island over the last 25 years has really, really started to get legs and run. But the good news is that it's still nowhere close to the pricing or popularity or development of a place like the Cayman Islands or the Turks and Caicos or the British Virgin Islands, right? I mean, all of these places, similar products would be double or triple the price. And so you're still getting in at a very, very opportune time in Belize. In fact, I like to call it the sweet spot because it's popular enough to cash flow. It's popular enough to see these brands starting to come out and be willing to come to the island, because they're not coming until there's popularity. They're not coming until there's volume of travelers. And I think it was about 3 years ago, Southwest Airlines opened up, and that was a real bellwether of change. Because when I first went there were 2 airlines that went to, well, 3. There was Taka, there was Continental, and American. That's it. You had 3 choices to get there, and now there are, I don't know, 6, 7 airlines that fly in on a daily basis, and so it's just changed so much. But but we're right at this cusp of what I would call popularity change, where you've got the brands coming in, and this is an opportunity to own a studio unit for under 100. By the way, if you like to leverage, you can borrow half the money. Like, you can do 50% loan to value. And I don't remember what those ROIs are, but on cash, that's pretty strong too. So Rachel can certainly send you the, put half down, put 50 down and borrow 50, what those numbers look like. They're pretty strong too. And if you had 100 in your pocket and you said, I like this, this opportunity, maybe you buy 2 and finance them. Really, the 8 folks who take advantage of the last 8 residential units in this building are going to be very, very happy they did it. You guys are fortunate to be on this call tonight. I've probably said enough. I'm excited about it, obviously. I'm headed down to Belize on Monday. Looking forward to being with the Best Western guys on Wednesday, doing this big brand announcement. But please, if this is something that makes sense, get the information from Rachel, look at it, over the next few days, Monday, Tuesday, tell her you want to send a reservation, deposit in, and figure out how to come down in the next 30 days and see us. But Rachel, thanks for having me on tonight. I'm going to slip off and go into a dinner meeting now, but um, but I
Fantastic, Mike.
but I appreciate you having me. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you for joining us. There are not many developers, if any, here on the island who've been here since the early 90s. So it's neat to have your perspective. You've seen the growth over the past 25, 26 years. And, obviously you're still here. So you still believe in the island and the growth and the progression. So I'll thank you.
Yeah, more so than ever. All right. Well, have fun tonight, team. And I look forward to seeing some of y'all down in Belize here in the next few weeks, checking it out and, saying yes.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Have a great dinner meeting.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. All right. So for everybody who's still on the line with us, we are going to run through some of the Belize stats. I see a lot of familiar names on here who've been to the island before or have been to Belize. So we're not going to spend too much time here, but I'm guessing that you're looking at Belize, that Belize intrigues you for one or maybe many of the reasons that you see here on the screen. It's easy enough to get to from North America. Here's a big one, is that English is indeed the official language. So it makes doing business, integrating into the community, just personal life and professional life much, much easier from the perspective of being able to speak English. We are a former British colony, so we do have the common law, the English common law that's implemented. And as Mike mentioned, we are seeing that there's affordable Caribbean real estate here and, of course, increasing tourism. Now, when we're looking at places as a company to develop and to own real estate, we like to see where the people are going. And what we've seen here in Belize over the past 5 years is that more and more direct flights are coming into the country. A lot more of these mainstream travelers have an interest in coming to Belize, whereas Mike mentioned before, in the 70s, 80s, 90s, it was really adventure travelers, people who stayed in mom and pop type places. Maybe they had electricity at night, maybe they didn't, but they were really here to dive and fish. We're seeing that transgression now. We're seeing a transformation from the adventure traveler to the mainstream traveler. And as a result, we are seeing more and more direct flights coming in to the country, which is huge. And of course, if you're looking for an investment, you really want to follow the trends. You want to see where the people are going. We've seen increased airlift. We've seen more direct flights coming. We've seen high numbers of tourism, as you saw on the previous screen, and we see that the big hotel brands are arriving. Yes, as Mike mentioned before, we are working with Marriott on the beachfront property. Now a Best Western, it'll be the first Best Western on the island, the second in the country. The other one is in Belize City. So a lot of great opportunity to develop relationships and co-marketing. Now, in addition to that, Ambergris Caye, this little island that you see up here on the top right part of the screen, is called Ambergris Caye. San Pedro is the primary town. Sometimes people refer to Ambergris Caye as San Pedro. San Pedro is the primary town, though, on the southern part of the island. Produces about 70% of the tourism revenue in the entire country of Belize. And we're seeing a lot of people are coming out here because they like to be in the water. They like the diving and the snorkeling and the fishing and just lying out by the pool and lounging around, or just being able to jump in a golf cart and check out different restaurants and different locations on the island. And it's certainly a place where people keep returning to as well because of the people, the lifestyle, their opportunities that they have here. Now, I mentioned to you San Pedro is the town on Ambergris Caye. Many times you'll hear people say San Pedro when they refer to Ambergris Caye, and Ambergris Caye if they're referring specifically to the town. But San Pedro really is the heart of this island. The island is about 25, 26 miles long, but everything truly is centered around this central location of San Pedro town. This is where you find the restaurants and the bars and the nightlife and the live music and the tourist shops and the galleries and the bars, if I didn't mention that before. But this is really where you want to be if you're coming. And what we're finding is that this is really the right opportunity, the right place at the right time. Here's a picture from the 80s of the airstrip. If you've been to Ambergris Caye before, you may recognize this little blue house is what is now Tropic Air, which is one of the primary air carriers here in Belize. This is from the 70s. At this point, there was no airstrip. This is where the airstrip would have been on the top part of the picture here. But you can see obviously that that's grown quite a bit. There's been a tremendous amount of sustainable growth on the island because people want to come. People want to live here. People want to spend time in a relaxing place in the Caribbean. So just from these pictures alone, you can see there's been a tremendous amount of growth. But we're seeing people are coming because they like the comfort of it. They like feeling like they are able to hop in their golf cart and go anywhere. This is not a Punta Cana. This is not a Cancun where they tell you to stay in your resort and from the hours of 6 to 6 not leave. This is a place where you are encouraged to go out and support the locals and try different restaurants and explore the island. It really is a colorful, colorful Caribbean island, very charming as well. And yes, golf cart is our primary mode of transportation. But we're seeing now that the big brands are starting to come here to Ambergris Caye. The other brands that we have in the country are in Belize City. They're primarily business hotels. But we're seeing the vacation hotels, all the branded vacation hotels are on the Keys. They're on Ambergris Caye. Blackador Caye, which is a private island owned by Leonardo DiCaprio, is just right around the corner from us. In addition to that, there is another private island, Caye Chapel, which has been announced as a Four Seasons. So a lot of opportunity here in this part of Belize. So when we get to the Bayman Gardens, this is the neighborhood we're going to talk about specifically. We are located about a 10-minute beach walk, I'd say 7 to 10-minute beach walk from the downtown San Pedro area. We are located, though, in San Pedro town proper. So even though we're not in the heart of the downtown area, we are still in San Pedro, where there's quite a bit around us. And of course, if anybody wants the Google Maps link, I'm happy to give that to you. But just from this sheet here, you can see that there's quite a bit around. Many different restaurants, hardware stores, supermarkets, bars, banking centers, golf cart rentals, fruit stands, the pharmacy and clinic, a lot right here. So Grand Bayman Gardens was not designed to be a luxury 5-star product. It was designed to serve those who are coming to Belize, whether to live full time or looking for a rental, but don't necessarily want to pay the beachfront premiums. They understand they're just a few blocks from the beach. You can see here, Grand Bayman Gardens, right down the street. It's about a 5-minute walk, and then you're at the Caribbean Sea. So you're not paying those beachfront premiums, but you have very, very close access to the water. And personally, I live here at Grand Bayman, purchased in 2016. Was initially planning to put my condo in the rental market, ended up moving in, but my plan now with the Best Western is to relocate, fix up my current condo for Best Western standards, and then get that into the rental program. Huge, huge opportunity with having a branded hotel in the gardens. And you know, if you come to Ambergris or if you've been here before, you'll see that there are many developments going up. Most of them are luxury beachfront projects. So we really fill a unique hole in the market, whereas many people are trying to capture this luxury market. We understand there's a type of traveler who wants to spend $100 to $150 a night, would rather spend their money in the water or on excursions or dining out, and they're very comfortable with a Best Western, and that is where they will ultimately stay. So close to town, really close to the water, and they have everything around within walking distance. So the Fleet building, you'll see it here on the right-hand side of the screen, is one of is the next building that we're going to be building. It's pre-construction. We have at this point 4 buildings that are up: Anchor, A, C, Captain, D, Dolphin, E, Explorer. All of these will go into the rental system as well, unless the owner is living in it and decides that they do not want to be in the rental system. That's up to the owner. And that's true for the Fleet as well. You may decide that you want to put in the rental market and then 5 years later say, you know what, I want to move in at this point. Let me take it out of the rental program. You are able to do that. There is that flexibility. So at this point, we have 54 condos that are up, operating. All of them are privately owned at this point. There are a couple available for resales, but at this point, they are all individually owned. So the Fleet building was really designed with you and with the renter in mind. And what we did over the past couple of years is really understand what it is that our consumer is looking for. So there are a few Fleet benefits that you'll find with this building. It's at an ideal location on the property. And let me go back for a moment. So it's located on the northern part of the property here, and it looks down the future gardens views. So if you're on the 3rd and 4th floor, you'll be able to have views of the sunset. Sunset happens about right over here, and then also bay views as well. Do note that we parallel the airstrip for the small Cessna Caravans that come in. They only run during daylight hours, so don't have to worry about your sleep getting disturbed, but it's quite neat from the balconies to be able to watch the Cessnas coming in with the sunset and the bay there in the background. And here is a picture from the Explorer building, the 3rd floor. You look right out and you see the water, you see the sunset right there. So from the 3rd and 4th floor, you will be able to have very similar views in the Fleet. So do bear that in mind as you're choosing what condo makes the most sense for you. Also, in addition, because it is 4 floors, there is an elevator. And then, of course, you have the branded hotel benefits. Mike talked about this before. Working with the 7th largest hotel chain in the world gives you access to their database, to their reservation system, which means more rentals and a higher occupancy. So you may have read about the studio units. The studio condos at the Fleet building were really designed for this nightly rental market, but also the owner was considered as we were putting together the floor plans. And what I mean by that is that there is an owner lockout closet. I had a couple who came in today and they're like, oh, what is the lockout closet? What that means is you can store your items in there, and then when you're not here in Belize, you lock it up, and then the guests are not able to access it. So typically what people put in the lockout are towels or linens or scuba gear or snorkel items. You just lock it up and leave it, and when you're not here, you are able to not let anybody in. But in addition to that, there are connecting doors to the neighboring studios. We have a couple of floors that have adjoining 2 bedrooms, and then the 2-bedroom would link up to the studio for a 3-bedroom option. Now, in addition to that, it may not have a full kitchen, but it does have a kitchenette, so it'll have the microwave, another sink, a mini fridge, coffee pot, things that you consider when you're staying at a hotel. In addition to that, it has a large balcony. And these balconies, I think, are going to be spectacular. They are going to look down the property line, so you have the gardens views there. And then again, from that 3rd and 4th floor, you do have views of the bay and then also the sunset. I had somebody who messaged before about the condo owners fees. For the studios, they really are quite affordable. It's $150 a month plus the taxes. And I don't have this written down, but if you have a pen and paper handy, just jot this down. I'll let you know what's included in the COA. Otherwise, just send us an email here and I can get you that info@grandbayman.com. But included in the COA is cable. In addition to that, there's internet, upkeep of the exterior part of the building, landscaping, the current maintenance of the landscaping, future landscaping. In addition to that, you have access to the amenities at Grand Bayman. So the San Pedro Fitness Club, which includes a pool, tennis court, and fitness club. And in addition to that, it includes a reserve fund. So it's quite a comprehensive COA, but it is really, really reasonable at $150 a month plus the 12.5% general sales tax. Now, Mike mentioned this earlier, but there is 50% financing available. If you'd like more information about those terms, just send us an email. But 50% of this $83,900. When you look at the all-in numbers, so if we're here at the top, $83,900 plus closing costs and furniture, turnkey, it's a little bit more than $96,000. But you are able to finance half of that $83,900. So it gives you flexibility there too. We ran the numbers. It is cash flow positive. If we're in the conservative case, you're still at about 9.1% ROI. If we're looking at that best case before the industry standard for the Best Western, you're at about 15.9% ROI. But again, happy to go through that with you more one-on-one, depending on what your case may be. Now, within the Fleet building, there are 4 floors in total. We have 2 2-bedrooms, and one of them got reserved today. So we have 1 more 2-bedroom, and then we have 10 studios. And right now we have 2 studios that are currently reserved. So 2 studios reserved and 1 2-bedroom. So if you're interested in a larger space, maybe it's a 2 or 3-bedroom, do talk to us as soon as you can so that we can go through what those options look like with you. And here's just a general layout. This is 4 studios per floor. And like we talked about a little bit earlier, here you have the connecting door between the condos. So if you're coming down and you own this condo right over here, if you can follow the cursor on the left-hand side, you have friends who are coming down, they can rent the condo next to you. You have that connecting door between, and you're able to still have that shared space, go out on the balcony, enjoy a beverage together, watch the sunset. Really, really great opportunity there. In addition to that, we talked about the elevator. There will be an elevator for convenience sake as well. At this point, the 4th floor is sold out. So if anybody's interested in being on the higher floors, the 3rd is your next best bet. If you're also interested, though, in what rents the best, the 1st floor for convenience, always the 1st floor for convenience, and the upper floor, so the 3rd and 4th floor. 2nd floor is kind of at a weird point, but if somebody has it available, they are going to stay there as well, because some people don't like the 1st floor, the top floors. But again, it just depends entirely on what it is that they're looking for. So when we looked at the floor plans, we just really understood what it was that people were looking for: having spacious closets, having nice balconies, and having amenities already in place were huge. The connecting doors between the 2 condos for added opportunity for rental. In addition, in the 2-bedroom, there is a washer dryer hookup, and then the owner lockout closet. You'll find that in both the studios and the 2 bedrooms. It gives you the opportunity to leave your personal items here when you are not in town. So how do you get started? There is a refundable $999 deposit. And so what that does is you go through the floor plan, you decide you want unit 301, you will send us the reservation paperwork, you'll send us the deposit, and then that locks you in. And we are giving you 30 days to come down, see the property. Some folks don't even see the property, or they've been here before, so they don't need to come down. But 30 days later, we'll send you the paperwork. You'll receive the final paperwork, and from there you have 7 days to decide if you want to move forward or not. If you don't, we will refund you the deposit. Now, this is a question I get asked quite a bit. What does the payment schedule look like? So the first one is the deposit. The next one is 50% less the deposit and the furniture, and that's due 30 days prior to breaking ground. And that is, we're planning to break ground in July of this year. It'll be about a 10 to 12 month build period, but breaking ground in July. And so the 50% less the deposit plus the furniture would be due in June, beginning of June. 40% is due when the roof is on the building. That's typically 6 to 8 months into construction. So if we begin in July, then you're looking at about February, March for that 40%. And then the final 10% when the keys are handed over. So that'll be June, July of next year. And the closing costs are due then as well. If you're financing, you are able to finance 50%. We'll introduce you to the bankers. It is with an international bank here on the island. Interest is 6.9%. I know it's higher than what we're used to in the States. It's a lot better, though, than what we typically see here on the island for foreigners, which is usually 10 to 12%. So 6.9% is pretty darn good, but we can send you those calculations and you can take a look at what those numbers look like. But if you're financing, then the payment schedule varies just a little bit, but it's the deposit, the 50% less the deposit. So this payment would be due in June, and then the next payment would be the financed portion, and that would be a 50%, that total this year, 50% plus the 10% would be due when the roof is on the building. So again, 6 to 8 months into construction. This is just a very general overview. I know everybody has different scenarios. Everybody's looking at something different. So we can certainly talk more about what your specific situation is and really find out what the best solution is for you. So we invite you to join the Grand Bayman family. We first started on the island, as Mike mentioned, in 1998. Grand Bayman, our first building, was constructed in 2013. Over the years, we have developed 54 condos that range from 1 bedroom and 2 bedrooms currently there. And so this will be the introduction of studios to the Grand Bayman community, which we're really, really excited about. But we really do hope you decide to join the family. We have a great group of forward-thinking, like-minded individuals. We do have opening celebrations when the building is complete for you to come down, get to know who your neighbors are, and of course, explore the island a little bit more. So I invite you to be one of the 8 people left who's going to get the most profit from this opportunity. And the reason I say that, you saw the numbers before, there's going to be a substantial price hike once we reach March 18th. If you send us a text or email on March 19th and ask for the pre-branding prices, we are not able to give it to you at that point. So be forward thinking. You can put down that $999 deposit, have 30 days to come down. If you don't want to come down, you can at least look at the paperwork over that time period and then decide what makes the most sense for you. But for brand new construction in a branded hotel on one of the most popular islands in the region, this is really an incredible opportunity. And I'm so happy to see so many of you who are seriously interested and seriously looking to become a part of this. Now, I'm going to go through some of the questions here. And if we don't get to everybody, we will have our team reach out to you over the next day to get those questions answered for you so that we're at least able to talk with you and learn a little bit more about what you're looking for. All right, so this is a really good question from Tim C. So Tim is planning to live in Belize from October 1st to March 31st. What is the occupancy rate between April 1st and September 30th? Tim, that's a really great question. We are definitely a location that has higher occupancy during the winter months. We have what we call a high season here. High season is middle of November to middle of May, and that's when you see a bulk of the rentals coming in. Because you think about it, people are coming from up north where it's colder. They want to come down to a tropical climate. So that is really prime time. That is peak season here. So if you're planning to come down during peak season, you're going to see not as great of an ROI if you're planning to just rent it during what we call low season. Low season is the opposite. It's middle of May to middle of November. So what I really challenge you to do is think about if you're looking at this property from an investment perspective or from a lifestyle perspective. And for many of us, we want the best of both worlds. We want to be able to generate positive cash flow. We want to pay for itself, hopefully make a profit from it, but also use it in the best time of year. So just really think about that. What is your primary goal? Is cash flow your primary goal, or is living in the tropics during the winter month? Because I can tell you, if you're down here during peak season, peak time, you're probably not going to get the sort of ROI that you were hoping for. And that leads me to answer another question that James started to ask, is what are the rules for personal use and the rental program? There are going to be owner usage restrictions if you plan to have it in the Best Western rental program. And that's very standard for branded hotels. I'm going to I'll have a more exact answer for you tomorrow, but it is going to be quite favorable for the owners. But if you're planning to come down, for example, 6 months during peak season, it probably won't seem too favorable to you. But what you're able to do is not put it in the rental program. So if you realize that you're really just looking at this from a lifestyle perspective, you know that your condo is going to be kept up to great standards through the management company when you're not here, even if you're not renting it, then this could be a great opportunity for you. But you either don't put it in the rental program, or if you put it in the rental program, it has to be through Best Western, and there will be some owner usage restrictions. But I'll have those answers for you more definitively tomorrow, so that there are no question marks as you're completing the reservation paperwork. JD, thank you for the matcha tea supply. JD supplies my matcha tea, and I still have about half a container left here in the office, and it does get shared around. So thank you, JD, for that. The other question that I see here, let me just go back. Another question, will there be any beach access to available resorts? Here, it's a very interesting phenomena here on the island. If you are staying at an off-water property, typically you're able to use the pools at the other locations as long as you buy a beverage or some food from the restaurant or bar that they have there. So there's not necessarily going to be an exclusive right to resort XYZ for their beach or for their pools, but as long as you're buying something from them, they typically don't say anything to you, or you have that right to use it. In addition to that, there's Secret Beach, which is up north, and that's a great daytime activity. Hop in the golf cart, go to Secret Beach. There are tons of beach bars and restaurants up there with really beautiful beaches that you're able to go in and enjoy as well. Krista, great question. Will the HOA change once Best Western takes over? No. At this point, it will not change. HOA fees are based on what the cost is to maintain the property, and that will not change once Best Western comes. And for people who own in the A, C, D, E buildings, for them to join the Best Western rentals, there are going to be some upgrades for them to have to make to their condo, but all of those sort of considerations will be factored in to the new construction. So you don't have to worry about any of that. Michael C. asks, is the bed a Murphy? It's not a Murphy bed. It is going to be an actual queen bed. Daytime seating, I would recommend sitting out on the balcony. Weather's quite nice here. Other than that, no, there's not. It's not a Murphy bed. Another great question. HOA. So HOA fees within the bylaws, you'll see there's a statement that HOA fees cannot increase more than 10% per year. Unless it's voted on otherwise by the HOA. At this point, we've been in operation since 2013. There's been one adjustment over that 7-year period. But what we do, this is a COA, Condo Owners Association or Homeowners Association money is belonging to the COA. So we don't increase prices unless we have to. Maybe security prices go up, or maybe the cost to maintain the landscaping increases and there's some adjustments. But other than that, it is money that belongs to the Homeowners Association, and it is looked at regularly to see what those actual costs are. JD, what size is the 2-bedroom? Good question. The 2-bedroom is 875 square feet plus balcony space. So it is quite a nice size 2-bedroom, and it's also a 2-bathroom. And then what we can do, I'm seeing a lot of people asking questions about the management fees and rental percentages. And what we'll do, if you would like a copy of the performa that we had in the beginning part of the presentation, just email us here, info@grandbayman.com, and we will get that information to you. I saw there was somebody here who was looking for a little bit more information. Just, of course, email that email address there, and we will get those details to you. I see some people are more interested in the 2-bedroom, some in the studios. I'm not going to know that unless you send us a message, so please make sure you're reaching out to us. We are here to assist you. My team and I live here full-time on Ambergris Key. It's been a phenomenal experience. And if you're planning on coming down and visiting us anytime soon, let us know, because we'd be happy to show you around and let you experience Ambergris Key. All right, with that, everybody, I'm going to say good night. Have a really, really great evening. Be in touch with the questions that are on your mind. Again, March 18th is the day that we're going to be doing the branding announcement. If you're going to be here in Belize, I know a few folks mentioned they will be. Fantastic. You're more than welcome to join us. Just let me know. For those who aren't going to be here, we are planning to live broadcast the announcement. If you're interested in seeing that, just send us a message for the details. All righty, everybody. Have a really phenomenal evening, and we are looking forward to hearing from you. Bye-bye.